Hello, World Wide Web. I'm Dr. Shado, the internet personality with the best hair. And, wow, Blip has sent me the big GTFO letter of doom. What am I going to do now? Oh, hell, I'm going to do what I always do. Review movies in order to buy sandwiches. And while I'm at it, why not go for a fantasy adventure film set in the mythical Dark Ages long before the 4th Earl of Sandwich was even born, with Merlin and the War of the Dragons. From the Asylum, therefore, you know it's ripping off something, and as it just so happens, this movie, made entirely in the country of Wales, happened to come out the same exact year as the BBC series Merlin. How about that? And wouldn't you know it, this also happens to be focused on a 20-year-old Merlin. Sadly, while they did well enough to at least find a close enough Colin Morgan lookalike to play the guy, they neglected to get John Hurt or his equivalent for the dragon aspect of this production. Instead, we get your average Asylum CGI work, which is even lower quality than you usually find on the BBC. And wait a minute, this is an Asylum production, and they're always flagging my videos on YouTube and throwing their ads on my work. There's a good chance that without Blip, I'm not going to make any money on this review. Like that's going to stop me. Anyway, let's take a look at Merlin, War of the Dragons, and see whether or not the Asylum tries to silence any criticism this time. Well, when the film opens up, I must admit it looks almost promising. Until... yeah, at this point, those 3 words have the power to drain any remaining hope out of me. The opening explains that this takes place in the year 420, or as I like to call it, the year of the weed. In short order, the Tell Don't Show introduction describes the setting as being some kind of mutation of quasi-historically accurate medieval Britain and Arthurian legend.
A time lost to history. A time of legends, of violence and bloodshed. Of magic and mythical creatures.
Well, which is it? Lost to history or recorded in reliable detail? You can't have both. We then cut to a woman giving birth because that's a great way to start, I guess.
Their message, sire, reads, "Kill the child."
No, it didn't. You poked the bones around before reading them. You're not supposed to do that! This brings us to the one and only star the Asylum brought on, Jurgen Prochnov. I'm slightly more confident that I'm pronouncing this right, but you might recognize this actor from his roles in Judge Dredd, Das Boot, Wing Commander, a pretty well-rounded actor overall. Though it does make me wonder why he even bothered answering the Asylum's calls. The point is, he's here to speak out against the concept of infanticide, stating that this half-human, half-demon kid is probably one of the nice ones and should live.
Nor do I question the nature of her account, King Eiringar. Only the nature of the spirit.
Which must have been evil to defile her so.
Honestly, man, sodomy, bondage, and let's not get into the multitude of farm animals that were involved.
I tire of your words.
And I tire of yours. Sonikara! Sonikara!
$500,000 budget, eh? And that's the best they could do? So, after the child is born, Jurgen escapes under the cover of day for night, knowing just where to hide from the king, in a sudden 2-decade time jump. This brings us to the magic school, where he is raising both Merlin, played by Simon Lloyd Roberts, and Vendigar, portrayed by Joseph Stacy.
What would you like to learn?
I would like to learn how to read minds.
Who is more than a little obviously our antagonist for this tale. That's not necessarily a bad thing, as Stacy brings something to the table you rarely see in an Asylum film. Acting! He has a decent range of character and works well in the role. But I'm getting ahead of myself. You were just about to say how to read minds, sir.
You must understand what it is like to be them. Only in that instance will you be able to place yourself in their mind's eye.
That's just empathy.
But that isn't magic.
Even the characters know better.
One should not think first of magic if you can accomplish a thing using other means.
Fine, fuck it, whatever.
Merlin, what would you like to learn?
I would like to learn how to create light.
Boom, done. Next question?
The spell you seek is ancient.
Oh, for fuck's sake, you mean to tell me you can't just light a torch, you inconsistent jagoff? Nope, they have to pass around this shitty special effect for a while and establish that it will be useful for Merlin later. First, though, we have to watch the guys calculate a means to obtain the Book of Secrets.
Has he ever shown you that book?
The Book of Spells.
Well, for the rest of the movie, they call it the Book of Secrets.
His Book of Secrets.
See? That was less than a minute later. Also, they establish that Merlin is a good boy, but Vendigar manipulates him into helping him get the book using his magic. Despite the fact that they have also established that Vendigar is a much more skilled mage than Merlin.
How did you do this?
I don't know.
Ask that question. Great. You decide to spend your 1-second shot ripping off Harry Potter.
Ask it something.
What else are you planning on ripping off today?
Show Merlin his father.
That's not a question. The book works with it anyway, so Merlin can see that his daddy was indeed a very horny demon. This leads to him, having a perpetual orgasm? That's what it looks like. Which causes Jurgen to rush in and calm the boy down, giving Vendigar the opportunity to have some alone time with the book. Which is obviously a lot more efficient than just, stealing it himself without the help of Merlin earlier. He doesn't have much time with it before Jurgen shows up. This gives us an interesting scene, possibly the two best actors on set, struggling to try and make the horribly cliché script sound meaningful.
I have no favorites.
Do you? If it were I, curled up on the ground like a simpering baby, what concern would I warrant?
I'd probably kick you around a bit and laugh. Don't act surprised. Point is, he gets the book back, but in order to restore Merlin, he has to summon the Lady of the Lake, who, drops special effects into his mouth and kisses him. Hey, if it works, it works.
Rest, Merlin.
Well, if you wanted him to rest, why the hell did you wake him up? Therefore, he tries his hand at resting on 2 feet, and we get to meet the Lady of the Lake, Lady Nimue, played by Nia Ann, who looks about 7.5 months pregnant.
Where am I?
My sanctuary. Private study. Deep within the earth, beneath Lenogwyn. Here one can work undisturbed.
Private study. Great. That sounds like the kind of place you should store, I don't know, ancient magic book of secrets that holds the secret ancient magic that our antagonist seeks to control? Anyway, he learns that, yes, it's true that he is the offspring of a demon. This is good enough then. Let's wash this down with some seriously shit special effects. Vendigar is doing a tad bit better, as thanks to the Asylum's trademark shit writing, he happens to find a dragon egg with no real problem. I'm sure you're wondering just how long dragons take to hatch and grow, considering dragon wars are very difficult to have with an omelet. Of course, as luck would have it, growth spurts in dragons are very common when the camera is away. So we see Jurgen training Merlin in swordplay, because after all, don't do with magic what you can do through other means. I mean, sure, you can fight with magic, but can you get yourself unnecessarily eviscerated thanks to magic? I think not.
To me.
Oh, my leg! Ah!
Oh, I stand corrected. The point is, that was long enough for the dragon to grow up and terrorize a helpless village. Or helpless villagers, alone in an empty field. Either way, honestly, the CGI almost looks alright from afar. Skyrim looks better, but oh well. And Dragonheart did the fake dragon kill so much better. A harpoon is a lot more convincing, and a water landing hides the dragon quite a bit better, and also has much less of a chance of inadvertently breaking the creature's neck. And the CGI at work here looks like shit, but when is this news? Point is, he gains their trust, and then takes advantage of them.
In this one thing for victory!
Oh, goody, dragon blah. Will it help my acting? Only one way to find out, as they each take a swig, but of course they collapse immediately afterward. Ooh, the dragon was still alive! And no shit, the only thing that came close to killing it was the fall. Surely this fade out is enough of a disconnect so that when the next scene comes and he suddenly has half a dozen dragons at his disposal, we aren't quite sure where he got them, right? He uses this to impress and join the Saxon army, instead of just having his pets eat them right there. I mean, there's barely 20 people in the army, if that. Never mind, on with the hero's story.
Mage, we've come for the one they call Merlin.
Oh yeah, that reminds me. What is Jurgen's character's name? The Mage. The Mage? Oh, what the fuck, Asylum? First, grandfather, and now the Mage. At this point, I'm surprised you didn't just name the antagonist Bad Guy.
I see you carry no weapon.
My weapon is up here.
So, like she said, you're completely unarmed. This introduces us to Ayanna Thanger as Ingrain and Dylan Jones as Uther. Their performances are unremarkable by normal movie standards, but the fact that they do a semi-decent job in acting is in and of itself remarkable for an Asylum production.
Smell that?
Okay, is he superhuman like Wolverine or some shit, or do barbarians just smell that bad?
Picts.
This isn't their territory.
Yeah, but you need some bullshit reason to have an arbitrary fight that has no bearing on the plot, so have at it. Thus, they deftly defeat this roving band of middle-aged LARPers in a combat that can best be described as, shaken, not skilled. So, joy! Merlin is victorious, and meets with King Vortigern to learn of his reward.
It is he, the evil one. Now, he shall be slain.
Don't toy with me, movie. This is an Asylum production. I know damn well it's not going to go the way I want it.
And you would rid yourself of your only hope in defeating the Saxons.
Mage!
Exhibit A! While everyone is distracted with bullshit, Merlin suffers from some serious brain freeze, revealing a white dragon is closing in, which it does in about 4 seconds, rendering this vision near useless.
You have a chance now to appease the beast. Kill him.
Torm is quickly becoming my favorite character in this movie. Unfortunately, everyone is saved in the nick of time by Merlin's very convenient light spell that it's very fortunate he happened to learn a few scenes ago. Now that we know the kingdom of a dozen people is threatened by shitty CGI monsters, Mentor character instructs Merlin to return to the Lady Lake and retrieve Excalibur. Not too hard a journey. Look, they've already got a paved road for him to take. Very convenient. Especially considering that asphalt roads didn't exist anywhere near England until at least the 18th century. Point is, he gets back to the lake and meets Vivian, the other lady of the lake, and she runs down the specs and features of Excalibur while offering him the chance to purchase the extended warranty.
While wearing this scabbard, one can suffer great injuries yet come through whole.
Yeah, that actually is consistent with Arthurian legend. Little surprising is it means that people at the Asylum might actually know how to read. Oh, and one more thing. Only the pure of heart can wield it, and the unworthy die if they try to. Good thing, as Torm happens by to murder the hell out of Merlin, and easily steals Excalibur to do the deed, but uh-oh, he wasn't pure of heart. Whoever would have guessed? I'm starting to think that being killed by Asylum special effects is one of the worst ways to die. When in doubt on how to continue your story, though, just throw in some random visions.
What are you doing here?
I had a vision.
A vision?
Who did this?
My visions are kind of shit when it comes to useful details. They conclude it was Vendigar, who was looking for the miserable little pile of secrets. However, when Merlin demands to know where it is, and then shoots Jurgen with a crossbow, it's more than a little obvious he was actually Vendigar the whole time. Don't worry though, fashionably late Merlin is there to save him. Or not, as despite them both being powerful magi, hell, one of them is named the Mage, a little splinter is just too much for either of them to handle, magically or otherwise. So, yet again, the Asylum kills off the expensive actor in the middle of the movie. I'm starting to think this has less to do with telling a story and more with budgeting restrictions. No time to dawdle, as the Saxon army cometh. All 20 of them, which even before the dragons are taken into account, seems a bit much for the 12 people who make up the entire population of this nation. However, King Vortigern has been talking with the enemy. Diplomacy? Unthinkable! And guess what? The Saxons have promised that they will live if they lay down their weapons and just accept Saxon rule. Obviously, this beats getting eaten by dragons, so they all comply. Except for Uther, who starts riding his horse in front of them, brandishing his sword, and screaming about freedom! Okay, so far you've ripped off Merlin, Harry Potter, Dragonheart, and now Braveheart? What the fuck are you doing, Asylum? Going for a record?
Our people at home outnumber the Saxons 3 to 1.
Oh goody, you got a whole 60 guys hiding off screen. So in the name of stupid plans, they kill their own king, and then march forward to an ensured death. This brings us to the big battle, which is just your usual Asylum shaky cam clusterfuck, made unintentionally hilarious by the occasional rocket horse zooming by. I realize it is unnecessarily dangerous to have actual galloping horses going through a bunch of men wielding swords, but nobody out there fails at special effects quite the same as the Asylum. Vendigar sends the dragons to battle, or to a different battle, as the far shot looks nothing like the armies we've seen, and the brave Uthor Pendragon says, "Fuck this," and calls for a retreat mere minutes after the fight started. Let's get on! Okay. Alright. They learned their lesson. Let's get takeout. Back with Merlin, he still hasn't made it to the fray, as he's got to drag Jurgen, playing the role of the corpse, back to the Lady's Lake. He also told him the spell he needs to combat the dragons is in the Book of Secrets, but not exactly how to go about reading it, as the pages are enchanted. I'm sure you're wondering just how Vendigar knew how to break the enchantment. Simple. He just did. Yeah, there is a mountain of bullshit that would have prevented this plot from ever starting had the Asylum even exercised the minimalist amount of logic. Nothing can happen without ridiculous character rivalry, though, so while Merlin is trying to figure out the password, the Lake Ladies are making him question the motives of one another.
She gave me Excalibur.
And she made you give it back, did she not?
No, she did not. He still got it. She made him promise to give it back, but that hasn't happened yet. Anyway, he cracks the code and gets to ask his question.
Show me the spell to slay a dragon.
It's not a question. Again. But do you want to know how the ulterior motive subplot is going? Lady 2 shows up, and Merlin plays like he's just giving up and leaving to rejoin the battle. So she implores him to stay. So, oh no, she intends to keep him prisoner! So he teleports away, not out of the soundstage, as that's somehow beyond his power, but over to Lady 1. But what a twist! It was Lady 1 who really wanted to keep him their prisoner all along. I'm sure you're wondering just what bearing this has on anything. Not a fucking bit.
Be gone!
And the problem is solved with a staring contest. Bravo! Who cares? Spell is learned, so it's on to the road to victory. The paved tarmac road to victory. He gathers the swiftest rider in the army and lures one of Vendigar's dragons. This is because, as he learned from the Book of Secrets, the spell to transform into a dragon is performed by drinking dragon blood.
What if you die in battle?
Then you'll change back to human then as well, just as Vendigar's dragons would.
Wait, hold the fuck up. You just killed one of Vendigar's dragons. Whose blood is that? The old man, the lady, or the little girl? Point is, two of them take the dragon blood, becoming 2 dragons, which is clearly more than enough to take on Vendigar's 6, or whatever number his ever-increasing dragon army is at now. So they all start fighting again, but who really cares about any of this? The real important battle is between Merlin and Vendigar.
You are not the only son of Pyra.
And not a single fuck was given on that day.
It doesn't have to be like this, Merlin. Join me. And together we could rule Britain. Ever.
Oh, for fuck's sake, you're gonna rip off Star Wars now, too? You know, before this is all over, you're sure you don't want to rip off Fern Gully while you're at it and make it all about saving the trees? Kind of a pointless line on top of it, as he just stands there continuing to try to kill Merlin. Or not, as he can clearly kill him at any time. We know his power, but instead he intercepts Merlin's attempt to regain Excalibur, and whoops! Oh yeah, this is the sword that kills those not pure of heart with their shitty special effects. Yeah. There's nothing quite like watching the world be saved by an inanimate object. Ooh. Therefore, happy ending. Uthor screams, the dragons fall, and transform back into the villagers instantly. Nobody even wonders what happened to Uncle Johnny. And it all ends on Merlin declaring Uthor Pendragon as the new king of Britain, despite the fact that he doesn't even come close to having the authority to do that. At least it's not as bad as ripping off countless sequel bait movie endings. Breaking news! Decker Shado doesn't particularly care for the latest Asylum movie he watched. Juicy details in the review. Seriously though, there are strange qualities to this movie that actually stand above and beyond most Asylum productions in a weird way. First of all, I have to point out the acting. Yes, the extras were crap, and the roles such as King Vortigern were done in ways that aren't any better than what the Asylum usually offers, but most of the cast actually did a half-decent job. I mean, Simon Lloyd Roberts gave a decent made-for-TV movie performance for Merlin, and Dylan Jones actually put some emotion into his portrayal of Uther Pendragon, despite being given such shit lines to work with. To me, though, Joseph Stacy stole the role as Vendigar. His character was shit, his lines were bland and predictable, but the man did a brilliant job with the role. It's very strange to see someone on set of an Asylum movie who actually looks like they might be enjoying themselves, but it was also kind of refreshing. But then come the shortcomings, and when it rains it pours. First off, as a ripoff to Merlin, it's ripping off someone else's interpretation of Arthurian legend. That's not the best starting point, but it's made worse by the fact that none of the writers felt like branching out at all with the story. Take what's been done, throw in some disgustingly cliché plot points, and call it a day. With this cast, they could have done so much more with it, but no, here's some dragons and a mage they call the Mage. Fucking lovely. Overall, Merlin and the War of the Dragons is a movie that, despite the Asylum's incompetence, the cast almost turned into a decent flick. Unfortunately for them, the Asylum doesn't even give a fuck about giving the good old college try anymore, meaning what few decent performances we get are wasted on a bland, predictable story that tries nothing notable outside of taking money from fans of Merlin, coming in at 2 shit CGI dragons out of 5. And even if the Asylum does flag this review so I can't monetize it, they still can't silence me. Unless they block it worldwide. Ah, fuck it, I'll just upload it to Dailymotion too. Thank you all for watching, I've been Decker Shado, and remember, you can take our views, but you cannot take our freedom!
Running with my dream, the path I should not follow. The swords of promises, surrounded by my past, I'm falling all alone. The chain of promise broken, piercing through for the moment stolen, a bleeding music of my life, alone inside.
You have a chance now to appease the beast. Kill him.